When I was 4, I lived with my mother and all of my siblings in a small town on an island of Luzon. Due to some disaster, my father's farm was destroyed in 1918 because of the sudden flood. So several years afterwards, we all lived in the town. Although my father really loved living in the country, we had no other choice. Well, it all started when we realized we had a rich man as our neighbor, whose sons and daughters seldom go out of the house and get some sunlight.
It's early in the morning. Why are you guys already shouting like chickens? Have you ever seen a handsome chicken like me? Okay, I'm speechless of your overconfidence.
My, you guys are so loud. The breakfast is ready. I prepared a favorite dish, fish blanket, gravy leaf veggie with crunch sweet potato and sparkling salted seafood, and freshly fried dried salted fish. Wow, that's our favorite. Thanks, Mom. After they've eaten, the cheerful children settled down a bit and went outside to play. Now, these rich man's servants were always frying and cooking something good, and the aroma of the food was wafted down to us from the window of the big house. We hung about and took all the wonderful smell of the food into our beings. Sometimes, in the morning, our whole family stood outside the windows of the rich man's house and listened to the musical sizzling of thick strips of bacon or ham. I can remember one afternoon when our neighbor servant roasted 3 chickens. The chickens were young and tender, and the fat that dripped into the burning coals gave an enchanting odor. We watched the servants turn the beautiful birds and inhale the heavenly spirit that drifted out to us. Some days the rich man appeared at the window and glowered down at us. He looked at us one by one, as though he were commending us. We're all healthy because we are out in the sun and bath in the cold water of the river that flowed from the mountains into the sea. Sometimes we wrestled with one another in the house before we went to play. We were always in the best of spirit and our laughter was contagious. Our neighbor who passed by our house often stopped in our yard and joined us in laughter. One day, the rich man appeared at a window and stood there a long time. He looked at my brothers who had grown fat and laughing, then at my brothers whose arms and legs were like the maple, which is the sturdiest tree in the Philippines. From that day on, the window of our neighbor's house were always closed. The children did not came out anymore. We could still hear the servants cooking in the kitchen, and no matter how tight the windows were shut, the aroma of the food came to us in the wind and drifted credulously into our house. One morning, a policeman from the Presidential came to our house with a sealed paper. The rich man had filed a complaint against us. Father took me with him when he went to the town clerk and asked him what it was about. He told Father the man claimed that for years we had been stealing the spirit of his wealth and food. When the time came for us to appear in court, Father brushed his old army uniform and borrowed a pair of shoes from one of my brothers. We were first to arrive. Father sat on a chair in the center of the courtroom. Mother occupied a chair by the door. We children sat on a long bench by the wall. Father kept jumping up from his chair and stabbing in the air with his arms. Thought we were defending himself before an imaginary injury. The rich man arrived. He had grown old and feeble. His face was scarred with deep lines. With him was his young The judge entered the room and sat on the high chair. He stood and sat down again. After the court, the judge looked at the father.
I do not agree. I agree.
Meron pa na. Ano tama kasi dili yung song.
I agree. I would like to see the children of the plane.
They came in shyly. The spectators covered their mouths with their hands. They were so amazed to see the children so thin and play. The children walked silently to a bench and sat down without looking. They stared at the floor and moved their hands uneasily.
Do you claim that we stole the spirit of your food by hanging outside your windows while your servants slept? Yes.
He walked over to where we children were sitting on the bench. I took my straw hat off my lap and began filling it up with centavo pieces that he took out of his pockets. He went to Mom.
We are going to pay you right now.
He got a straw in their small pouch.
May I walk across the room and stay there for a few minutes, Judge? Did you hear it?
The sweet tinkle of the coins carried beautifully in the courtroom. The spectators turned their faces toward the sound with wonder.
Did you hear it?
Father
Hear
came
what?
back and stood
The spirit of the money when I shook my hands. Yes. Then you are paid.
The rich man shook his head in disappointment. The judge pounded. Father strode around the courtroom. The judge even came down from his high chair to shake hands with him.
You like to hear my family laugh, Judge? You hear that, children?
My brother James started it. The rest of us followed them. Soon the spectators were laughing with us, holding their beliefs and bending over the chairs. and the laughter of the judge was the loudest of all.